Heaven-o, everyone. Welcome to this fortnight's call. We were hoping that Helen might be hosting, but unfortunately, although she's back from her amazing adventure, she can't make it today. So we're going to have Helen in 2 weeks' time. Hope that's okay with you, Sass. And then after that, Sass will come on. So I'm in the hot seat, and it's good to be back and to see you all. I did put in the invite message that this whole unfolding of insanity in the Middle East is the backdrop to today's call. So I did want to do a little reading about war and peace. It's not a Tolstoy reading, but I just thought it might be appropriate just for us to pause with some thoughts for all of those innocent people caught up in this latest insanity of manipulative political machinations of this war machine. It's quite interesting, actually, because this week I went to see The Creator, the movie The Creator. John and I went to see it, and I actually went again yesterday, and I took my sons, and it's basically a film about AI. What if AI were programmed with love? Now you might say it could just be a psyop type Hollywood movie, but my sense was that there is a whilst there may be a very satanic vein running through Hollywood, I also see that there is an awakening of consciousness running through Hollywood as well. So many people in that creative industry, I know for a fact, have opened to plant medicine. So they're kind of bridging both realms. I detect in movies like that, building in lots of very powerful themes around peace and spirituality. So that's it's well worth going to see it if you haven't seen it, The Creator. So I'm just going to do a little reading. And this is on the theme of peace. I don't know the writer, but I will put it in the notes maybe after I've posted it. Okay. It's called Time to Defect. It's time to defect, my friend, from the side of passport to the side of heart port, from the side of prison to the side of reason, from the side of nationality to the side of sanity, from the side of myopia to the side of motion, from the side of crutches to the side of conscience, from the side of coffins to the side of character, from the side of bombs to the side of backbone, from the side of barbed wire to the side of brain wire, from the side of flag to the side of fervour, from the side of parasites to the side of paragons, from the side of pacemakers to the side of peacemakers, from the side of ideology to the side of illumination. It's time to defect, my friend, from the side of caves to the side of kind, from the side of tribe to the side of life. So just a little thought about how do we end this conflict and war. And of course, the conflict and war isn't kind of out there over in the Middle East somewhere. The conflict is also right here, right now, possibly in your friendships, in your relationships, in your family, in your community, and certainly on a personal level. I've been navigating some very strong energy, conflict energy in my own world, and attempting to not fall into the fight, but to hold that center, hold that space of peace in the face of hostility. So we can but try, and I do feel that a big thing that has shifted the energy in my world is actually chanting every morning, and sound and healing. We were chanting Well, I was listening in this morning. May all beings be happy. Om Shanti, Om Shanti. It's such a beautiful Buddhist chant. May all beings be happy. I won't try and attempt to sing it, but yeah, there's a lot to be said for music, and I'm huge gratitude to Mog in our Crestbrookdale community. Her antidote is always music, as is John. He's a musician, so we're always like turning to song and singing, and it really is a beautiful antidote, as well as laughter and joy as well. So I welcome your thoughts on war and peace, along with anything else which you may wish to raise. We've got lots of hands up, so without further ado, I'm going to come across the screens. It's lovely to see our beautiful divine masculine queuing up to speak. We've got Owen, Neil, Hugh, and Patrick for starters. So welcome to you, brothers. Coming to you first, Owen.
Hi, Rachel. How's it going?
Hi, good. Thank you.
Welcome to sunny Dublin. It's so humid and hot for middle of October. Incredible weather.
It is. It's been quite humid and warm here as well. It's been lovely.
Amazing. Absolutely middle of summer weather.
It's climate change, Owen. Climate change.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, Rachel, because the narratives of the media, right? So you mentioned at the start that the Israel-Palestine narrative of the media has fled up again. You listen to Max Egan on BitChute or wherever you find him, the Crow House. He says exactly the same narrative has been running for, we go back to the 1940s, if you like. And this genocide of Israel against the Palestinians has been in progress for decades and decades. And interesting that, the Jewish people are the perceived victims of the world, right? And yet Israel is the big aggressor and perpetrator over the Palestinians in a very similar way as the Nazis are considered to have done in the middle of the 20th century, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, the question that raises in my mind is why? Why is the media all deflecting us over towards Palestine and the Middle East and Israel situation?
I guess a question might be who owns the media?
Really important question, and I think they've reduced it down to 6 corporations now own the global media. This is a global corporation, right? So whether you're talking about Starbucks or Volkswagen or Sony or Starbucks, they all have a global HQ, and similar with global leadership, which is very interconnected with the arms trade. Right? It's all very corporately profitized and monetized. And then, well, I was hoping, I've been thinking about this chat with you guys for a couple of days, and I've been listening to Tom Cowan, who someone's replied to me in the chat saying that he's written a brilliant book called The Contagion Myth.
Yes.
And so him and his team have been tirelessly presenting this evidence that there are no viruses, and that the idea of a germ jumping, the contagion myth, needs to be really scrutinized and studied and reevaluated, because it isn't based on evidence. He goes right back to the Spanish influenza after the First World War, and says that scientists back then, you can read the papers, were doing all sorts of horrible experiments with snot-filled nose bags and placing them on people to see if contagions would move from person to person. They all agree that it doesn't happen, that this idea of a virus particle, they can't isolate and identify it. They can't reduce it down and show us. Apparently there's billions of these molecules flying around. We need masks and all this kind of stuff, but there's no evidence. There's no hard scientific evidence to back it up. So what Todd Cowan's just done in the link I've just put in the chat is he said we're offered 2 narratives, and this is very similar. You'll recognize this from politics. Red or blue, conservatives, Labour, Republicans, Democrats, communists, capitalists. Who do you want to govern you? What kind of totalitarian rule are you voting for this time? But he says, it's the third option that is sidelined and brushed under the carpet, which is actually the truth. And so this questioning we have of the mainstream media is quite widespread and healthy now, I think. But also similarly with with the internet and social media. It's very interesting. You know, Bridgin, I didn't click onto his debate on Friday. You got Russell Brand, you know, chirping from the rooftops about his situation. David Icke's complaining that he can't get past passport control, etc., etc. There's all these, what do you say, scandals and popcorn throwing incidents to
Yes.
get us excited and get us interested in the latest thing that's going on. And for me, we still haven't got to the bottom of, you know, these fundamental issues. Tony Blair, for example, hasn't been put on trial for his war crimes 20 years ago. You know, we got this COVID situation that is still, you know, up in the air, to say the least. And then, so David Icke did an interview just last couple of days with Rainer Fulmisch. Now, this guy is a German/USA Californian lawyer who's the darling of the truther community, saying, "Oh, I'm collecting the evidence. Don't worry about it, everybody. You know, go back to sleep. I'm sorting it out. Leave it with me." This kind of thing. So you see this interview, and you think, what are they going to talk about? What's the content coming in here? And you predict, you make a speculation. Well, hopefully David Icke will be saying, well, what are you doing? You know, give us the hard evidence. Where's the trial? Where's the verdict? So are you giving us something to hang our hats on, something concrete to go on here? And you listen to the interview, hour and 20 minutes, and it's the regular David Icke narrative spiel, you know, about his electromagnetic web that came to him when he was visiting psychics and, you know, lizard man and all this kind of stuff that's going on. And we still are yet to find, you know, a basis, a foundation of law, justice, and truth for we the people to actually soberly, credibly put onto trial all these crimes that are so clear to us. Everybody's talking about it, everybody's belly aching about it and bleating about it, but there's still not that cradle of justice and truth. And you recognize my thread here, Rachel, but
Yeah.
to conclude, who's putting the courts together for us? Nobody. Why not the Iconic and David Icke? Why not Rainer Fulmisch? You know, these people who have big followings, would be easy for them to create a court, pull a 12-man jury together, 12-person jury together, and create trials, create verdicts. But it's we're still waiting. Still waiting.
Owen, I'm just been looking at the comments while you've been talking. So, and D Sunshine has said, okay, so what causes illnesses? So could you just encapsulate Tom Cowan's terrain theory just in a few sentences, if that's possible?
Well, I'll find a link for the chat. There's a really interesting documentary, Terrain, it's called. So the big debate going on, and it's fascinating. You know, I'm not a medical trained expert, but I've been following it since 2020, since this whole thing started. And Tom Cowan and his team, Andy Kaufman, the Baileys in New Zealand, they've got a documentary which I'll put in the link called Terrain Theory. So, you know, perhaps it's this Wi-Fi pollution that we're all exposed to, but it's the environment, right?
Yeah.
So really interesting metaphor is back in the 1800s when ships were crossing the Atlantic Ocean, people were getting sick. They were getting the same symptoms. The assumption was throw them overboard because it's contagious. You know, there's a jumping germ, stop the spread. But it was a lack of vitamins. You know, after all these deaths, people thrown overboard, etc., they realized that it was because they didn't have citrus fruits. Environment, not germ.
Yeah. And also this thing about dissonance as well, just to mention that, because dis-ease, dissonance, so this electromagnetic stress, as you say, creating this chaos, because that's I mean, if you look at cancer cells, it's when the body goes to chaos, isn't it? Out of harmony into chaos, into dis-ease. So that's why singing and music and sound healing, I'm sure Sass will come on and blow the trumpet on sound healing, or bang the gong, should I say.
I will too, Rachel. I do the harmonic healing with the tuning forks, and you know, metaphysically, before you get to physics and the material content, you have harmonics, waveforms, frequencies. This is the basis of life.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, Owen, I'm going to move on to Neil. So thank you so much for coming on and opening the show. Let's come to Neil next. Hi, Neil. Sitting in front of your mountain there. The strong.
Hello, Rachel.
Yang mountain.
Yeah. What Owen said. It's very interesting. It's got me thinking about, because of Israel and all the cognitive warfare that we've been subject to, and people are now almost forgetting the lesson.
Hey Neil, you frozen? Is that me or is that you? Everyone else seems to be moving. Hold on, let's just have a look at the gallery. Everyone else is moving, aren't they? Yeah, it looks like Neil has dropped off the call. So I'm going to come to Hugh and then we'll come back to Neil if he gets back on. Maybe he lost connection. Hi, Hugh.
Hi.
Hiya.
Sorry.
You're there in front of planet Earth. That destroys flat Earth theory, doesn't it? Right there, your background.
In fact, to sort of look back at what I said before about climate change, I found an even more brilliant thing, and it has to do with the fact that the models they create to work out the fake climate change actually is a flat Earth model, and because of that, they have to have a constant temperature, whereas the actual Earth is a rotating globe. So you get a hot on the side facing the Earth, and cooler. It cools down as it comes back round. So essentially, what they're doing is saying the ground level temperature is way less than that. And that means that they're saying the solar input is a quarter of the solar input, which is absurd. So Joseph Posner is brilliant, and he's done that. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I
okay, Hugh,
talk
sorry.
About, well, there's two things. Firstly, you talked about a film about AI and being programmed with love, right? I've got a video on my YouTube channel that's been there for 2 years. What's it? It's called Fate, Free Will, and the Truth. And in that video, I explain, I explain why fate and free will are the same thing, but it also, I talk about reasons why artificial intelligence cannot be conscious, right? There's a thing called Gödel's incompleteness theorem. It was published in 1930, sorry, exactly at the same time as Pluto was discovered. And it gives you amazing insight into evolution, that there are an infinity of truths, right? Maths is never complete. So there are an infinity of truths that we are constantly realizing. And computers, being logical, they cannot transcend what they've been programmed with.
Yeah.
So they can't realize new truths like we, being conscious, we can. So that's one thing. Forget that. There must be some other purpose behind it. You know, films are very reflective of how we're growing. But I think those that own the film production companies, they twist things.
Yeah.
I've explained this in another video. But what I wanted to talk about now is this thing that's happening in the Middle East. I'm not really very aware of it. It took me by surprise yesterday because I've been busy. Part of it, that's the reason I've got this background, because I've got a new computer and I had some trouble with it. So I haven't uploaded my usual background to this version of Zoom. So anyway, so I just had a few minutes before this to look at the chart for today.
Okay.
Pluto is square to Mars, and they're forming a T-square with the North Node, which is in Aries.
Okay.
Now,
Enough said.
yeah, well, I want to add something because I don't know whether you're aware, but you see, I'm not your usual astrologer. What my connection with astrology is that I wanted to understand how the universe works. So I used it. I recognized when I got into metaphysics, and then I learned that astrology is like two planes intersecting, and they're well, I won't go into detail about them, but I realized the connection between quantum physics and astrology, and I have worked out it goes beyond quantum physics, because quantum physics is actually wrong in a way, but I've made two huge breakthroughs. One, I've found the correlation between physics and the zodiac, why that works. And two, I've found the correlation between a planet's essence, astrological essence, and its orbital frequency.
Okay, interesting.
I've made two videos about the first were when I made that breakthrough. I made this video called Thrones. Right, it's an upgrade to the idea of planets ruling signs. Planets actually rule a point in the zodiac where their essence matches. If you think of the zodiac like a wave that they're surfing, it matches how steep that wave is. And my concept of thrones has proved amazingly prophetic. I made two videos about Planet Biden. I don't know whether you know that exists. It's VP 2012-113. Actually, it's a trans-Neptunian object. It got named after Biden because he was the VP at that time in 2012. Right, so I've made two videos about that. They're not on YouTube because I don't think they're YouTube compliant. And the first one I made was Biden, Planet of Political Intrigue. And it's amazing. It's amazing when you look at Biden's and the man's chart and the chart of its discovery. Wow, it blows your mind. The throne is right there. So at that time, I wrote that and uploaded the video just a bit late to get the presidential election where he was going to be elected. But I could see he would be because of the involvement of his throne, right?
Okay.
Now back last year, I wrote one Planet Biden and the midterms eclipse, and that, you know, the eclipse that happened back when it was like November 8th, I think, when the midterms were happening in America.
Okay.
That happened right on the throne of Biden,
Right.
which is in Taurus, right? So I made predictions. I stuck my neck out because I was too late to predict for the presidential elections. I stuck my neck out and I made predictions in that, and they came dramatically. Well, it wasn't hard to see that what they were going to steal elections like they did, you know, before. But I made this amazing prediction, connecting it with cryptocurrencies and sound money, and that came amazingly true within days in the form of the FTX scandal.
Okay.
So
here, I'm just to encapsulate this, and I'm just conscious that other people want to come on.
Yeah,
can you just give us a reflection on, because we've got a solar eclipse coming up on Saturday, haven't we, in Libra? Has that got any bearing on the current war situation, would you say?
I don't tend to look at that. Well, I'm sorry, I was kind of setting the scene for what I want to say about today.
Sorry.
Right. So my point is that I think my concept of thrones is amazingly prophetic, right? So what's happening now is in 2 days' time, Pluto's going to go direct. Right?
Okay.
Looks back to what I was saying before. And because it's making that amazing T-square, which is all about self-determination, Mars and the North Node in Aries, it's that we're coming into a time where we're going to experience more self-determination. And because of what another video I made back in 2020, that is incredibly important. We actually in 2012 we moved into a new galactic age of Aries, and that means that we are now in that age. We've been in that age for 13 years now, and we're getting more and more self-determined. But in order to do that, we've got to accept the authorship, the responsibility of Saturn, right? So that we don't just run amok with the new self-determination. It's something we've got to have for this new
Okay.
right? So what's happening with Pluto is when he goes direct, he's only within a couple of degrees of the throne of Damocles. Now, Damocles is an amazing planet, and what it represents is the maturity of Saturn, right? There you see Damocles is not the real authority, and he's sitting on a throne. He's been given the opportunity by the king to sit on the throne and see what it's like. But the king has put this sword hanging over his head by a single horse's hair.
Okay.
And Damocles pleaded with the king to let off, because that was to symbolize the threat to the king, right? So actually what Damocles represents is fake authority and how uneasy it's sitting on its usurped throne.
Okay.
So Pluto brings out all the abuses, and in Capricorn he's been showing us all the abuses of fake authority since 2008, when he caused the banking crash as he went to the throne of Jupiter, which is just 1 degree away from the cusp of Capricorn. So this is all, if you look at what's happening now, it's like, okay, they're causing this, but it's going, because when Pluto goes direct, it's going to, he's going to start moving towards the throne of Damocles again. He's going to be closing in, exposing all the fake authority that's behind it. I think this is going to be huge.
Okay.
It's probably going to backfire on them big time, because what it's showing is, as it's closing in on Damocles, it's showing that they're really scared, they're uneasy, they're feeling their fake authority slip between their fingers, and I think they're going. This is a panic action that they're taking, and it's going to blow up in their face. So that's what I wanted to say about it. So,
thanks, Hugh. Yeah, I gave you quite a lot of time there. I know it's quite a deep subject, but if there's any video that the videos on thrones, please put a link in so people can go into more detail.
I made a more recent one about the zodiac, where it's got a quantum understanding of the zodiac. So I'll put that in the chat. Okay.
Thanks, Hugh. Thanks for coming on.
Okay.
I remember he was on I think on our very first People Speak Out way back in January 2021. So thank you for coming on, Hugh. And we're coming to Patrick next. Hi, Patrick, and then Karine and anyone else who wants to speak. And if I don't see many hands up, I let people speak on a bit more, just so you know. So if you do want to come on, put your hand up. It kind of dictates how I run the call, how I chair the call. So Patrick, let's come to you. Welcome.
Yeah, I can usually keep it fairly short. It's just interesting to me what this thing in Israel, and I'm trying to understand or get my head around what is really going on. And it's like, okay, you had COVID, which went for about 2 years, 18 months or whatever, until the story became completely unsupportable. Like, for example, here in Ireland, everyone had been vaccinated. And then comes Christmas of January of, I guess it was 2022, there was more quote unquote cases than ever. So the whole story completely fell apart, could not be supported in any way. All the deceptions became so manifest. We didn't so much come out of COVID as just abandon it. It's like we can't continue with this nonsense. Similarly with the Ukraine, that was replaced. Oh yeah, it was replaced by the Ukraine war. Now the Ukraine war is based on deception, nonstop stories about the Russians killing civilians, all of it false. Every single bit of news that comes out of Ukraine is essentially turned upside down to get something close to the truth. However, that's become unstuck also. They're losing the war. Russia could win any day they want. They're pouring money and weapons into it. It's just not working. The West, in typical Western style, you can't admit you were ever wrong, right? Just like with COVID, you can't admit, well, actually, that was one huge psyop or mistake. So what do? You replace it with something else. So this is a way to get Ukraine out of the news, and we're all concerned with Israel again. And of course, Israel is always surefire winner to get everyone on their side. You got stories about the Holocaust. I saw this Blinken guy yesterday who calls himself a son of a Holocaust survivor. Oh, there was a Holocaust survivor in a wheelchair that was kidnapped. I mean, these kind of ghoulish stories, and the Western population are meant to fall for it, and they probably will. So that's how I see this. We don't know where it's leading, what the real ultimate purpose of it is, but it's just the latest psyop, and this will take another 18 months of all our time and attention, including mine, which I shouldn't be doing, in deconstructing it. And this is how I see this. This is just the latest psyop.
Yeah.
Ukraine has run out of steam. COVID ran out of steam 18 months before, about another 18 months now we have this. This is also time to go through the presidential elections. There's some agendas there. Anyway, that's how I see it. It's just the latest psyop. And who knows how real any of it is. Is a lot of this video, who knows if it's even real? You see all these bodies on the ground, they're blurred out because, well, you can't show dead bodies, but it could be anything. It could be, the videos are blurred. I'm even to the point where I think this whole thing could be a made up thing, that maybe nothing much happened. All of this Hamas thing, it's almost like one of those false flags they had in Paris writ large. It's like they have these fake events, or in London or whatever, but this is like a bigger one. It incorporates more people. You know, you had the rave concert where 260 people died. I would question that. How did they die? Yeah. And then that recalls the thing in Paris. You had the Bataclan Theater. Oh, all these young people, they just want to have fun, and they just are cool, and these barbarians come in and gun them down. This is the sort of cartoon reality we're living in. Anyway, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. And this is the thing, isn't it? It's just about holding our energy and our focus of attention on essentially what is louche topics. Yeah. And that's what feeds the Wetiko, because all the time we're focused on that. Right. We're not focused on co-creating the world we do want. We're not focused on co-creating peace. So it's kind of like a mass distraction. And I think a lot of people are opting out. I mean, I have to say, I did tune in to Radio 4 on the I drove my son to school, to his indoctrination camp this morning. I mean, public school. Right. And I thought I'll tune into Radio 4 just to see what they're spewing out this morning. And of course it was like bombs and dramatic voices, and the correspondent in Israel talking about how terrible everything was. And I just was listening through those ears of just the propaganda, and it was just so laying it on thick this morning.
I was sorry. Yeah. I was living in America during 9/11, and I remember this whole thing about it was a massive intelligence failure. They're using the exact same words about this, which seems to me was more likely a massive intelligence creation. Not a failure.
So it's all done to create drama, because drama holds our attention, especially anything that's persecutor, victim, rescuer drama triangles are the classic way throughout everything. Create a Cartman drama triangle, and most people are gripped because it's a form of entertainment. It's Colosseum entertainment. And
and I must admit, I fall into this myself. I fall into deconstructing it, finding out what's wrong with it. It's like I'd be better off doing something else.
Exactly. Anyway, thank you for coming on, Patrick. Okay. And I'm going to come to Karine, and then I'm going to come back to Owen, unless anyone else wants to speak.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Karine.
Hi. With this whole topic of war and peace, I've just been assisting on a Kundalini yoga retreat, and the theme was, how do we react when other people criticize us, or people have opinions about us? And that she's really deeply looking at our own response and how do we respond. And if we're speaking to someone and the background is actually we think we're just giving information, but actually there's a background going, actually, I'm right, you're wrong, because you don't realize this is really what's happening. So it's kind of being really, really conscious about how we interact with people, whether we're actually making them wrong, making them other, because actually, you know, ultimately we've all got to progress together. So anyway, that was kind of the background. Had some amazing dreams, and then I was leading a group up Glastonbury Tor at 6:30 in the morning. It was a silent retreat, but we were about to come out of silence. And as I come down, the words from a poem I just glanced at the day before just came down, a complete download as a song, which I'm going to sing. I've shortened it just so it's not a repetition. But it was just like, it felt like a complete divine intervention. And here are the words. If you love, if you truly love, all our wars will cease, and there'll be peace on earth, and in every beating heart, and there'll be peace on earth, and in every beating heart. So that was my, oh my God.
Beautiful.
And when I, thank you. So when I got home, I looked up, I've got this book, Love Poems from God, and lots of different people have contributed, from, you know, Rumi and Hafiz and Rabia and everyone, St. Teresa. And this was actually from St. John of the Cross of Avila. And he was a revolutionary monk in the 1500s, and he suffered dreadfully because he was trying to break open this sort of stranglehold of the church and religion to a much better way of being at one with love and his divinity. So anyway, that was my download. I'm finding Pam Gregory, the 7 o'clock meditation on a Sunday evening, the invitation for everyone to join together, 15 minutes, going into a meditation, holding as much love and brightness for the earth and gratitude, and just to be with that resonance. And what I find in our Froome support group, which we have meetings in our place, really nearly everyone last week was saying about this thing of really turning their attention to love, holding that love, not duality. And it's really interesting. Wherever I'm going, I'm meeting people, and the focus increasingly is like, what do we want? Where do we put our energy? And this sort of feeling like they just can't keep on looking at things that's telling them more and more and more awful things. Oh, and by the way, just a very funny thing, I was cooking, I had the radio on, unlike me for Radio 4, had it on, and they were going, oh, it's been the hottest September on record, and it's been the hottest year in 20,000 years. And I thought, is anybody believing this shit? Anyway, that's me. Thank you very much. Thank you for hosting. Love to everyone. Keep bright.
Thanks, Corinne. Thank you. And I will come back to you, Owen, and then I'm going to come to Sass, as you have had your hand up. So, Owen, did you want to add something?
Back to me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, well, I totally agree. You know, I love singing. I play the guitar myself. You know, high vibrational. You know, stay positive as often as possible. You know, get away from the loose, you call it, the dark and dreary stuff. Completely get it from a harmonic and waveform and frequency perspective. However, the truth is very, very important. What is the truth of the environment in which we live? So I've been doing a lot of farming and gardening around Ireland, as I've mentioned a few times, and you know, it makes complete sense to have good soil for your seeds, right? So there's no point in sowing seeds on concrete, for example, because you won't be able to grow anything. You won't be able to create anything. Right? So having a really sort of wise and experienced and skillful understanding of the environment on which you're attempting to grow and attempting to create is absolutely crucial. And this is what's coming. This is what's important, I think. And further on to Patrick's point is that all these narratives that they're throwing at us are failing because we're beginning to collectively appreciate that we're being sold a rum dance, down the garden path or whatever you want to say, and that we want to know what's true. We love the truth, right? This is a very healthy and creative and positive, upbeat thing to understand the truth of the environment and the world, the realm in which we live. And so, 9-10 years ago, I was trying to build a career and a family and et cetera, and I got completely smashed because I was a truther and a whistleblower. So my big priority at the moment now is to build that cradle of soil, if you like, from a metaphorical perspective, of law, because you can have no society without law. And this is what is lacking, this idea of law. And we've got this tier, this level of club above us. Basically, the banking system is very easy way to look at it. That is playing us these caricatures to throw us in this direction, deflect us in that direction, and we're beginning to bust the ivory towers. And once we level the playing field, once we create justice and truth connected with this higher tier, that's when the singing and the harmony and the music can really flourish. Because when people are desperate because of the irrigation problems of economics and currency, it creates that loose, low vibrational environment because people are in fear because of the banking system and money. Right?
Okay, Owen, thank you for coming on and making that point. One thing I would say is that truth has a resonance, and to me, truth is like a sword which cuts through the illusion, bullshit, and dissonance. So, it does have a power.
Yeah, there's a battle aspect with a sword, right? You have opponents when you're looking for justice.
Well, I'm talking more like the sword of Manjushri, which is like the sword which cuts through the illusion of duality. It's like slices through, like I can't think of it. The knot. What was the knot? The Gordian knot. The problem that can't be solved. It's sliced through the Gordian knot with the sword. It's like a sword. It's like a resonance cuts through. It's like Manjushri's sword in the chanting. I forget his chant. Anyway, we're going a bit metaphysical. I'm going to come to Sass, whose specialist topic is, of course, sound and resonance. So let's come to Sass to get your take on this. And we have got Brian and Amanda, who will probably take us up to 1 o'clock, unless anyone else wants to speak. So, hi, Sass.
Hello. Hi there, everyone. Lovely to see you all. So what is it we can all do? I mean, obviously, just reiterating what everybody else has said, is that this time has always been predicted, this end of the 26,000-year cycle, where we're moving into the edges of the universe. And it's how we get ourselves there is the frequency that we're all at. And the powers that shouldn't be, obviously, we're aware, they have advancements of knowledge and technology thousands of years in advance of what we're aware of. So at this time, they decided to bring in all these dissonant frequencies with all the technology that we're using at the moment. It can, deflect our harmonious resonance. And that's why I don't know if anybody else has noticed how many people are getting sick, how many ill people are suffering at the moment. And a lot of it is to do with entrainment into the frequency of trauma and drama.
Yeah.
So they get plugged into that, and then that brings their frequency down, and then they're open. Once your frequency's down, you're open to all those different things that work on that frequency. So whether it be parasites and germs and what have you. I'm not saying you get them off other people. They tend to develop inside of your own body because you have pleomorphism, which is when your cells start to morph into what we call viruses and bacteria that are unhealthy. So the body's trying to clear them all the time. But to me, it's about finding solutions to this, because it's like we're being anchored. How do they keep people anchored in this frequency? Well, they keep on repeating all the traumas and drama.
Yeah.
And keep on notching them up higher and higher and higher, which is what they will do. And on an individual level, so it feels like people are being individually persecuted either by the health or by the authorities, like I'm being hounded by the authorities at the moment. But how do we find solutions to that? And it all comes down to each and every individual. And then when we come together, so if you're working on yourself and then you come together with other people, and circles are a great way of doing this, gatherings in circles.
Yeah.
Then you can work on the resonant field that you're creating. And then you create pillars of light, which then literally elevate that group. And then it brings everybody else around you up as well. So I was literally woke up the other morning at 5 o'clock, and I had this literal download, this connection, this information coming through me. And it was very specific about gathering circles together of 12 people with myself facilitating, and to put them through a process which was a collective. So it was interactive. It wasn't me, doing it all and everybody else just listening. Like a lot of, obviously, they become very popular sound baths and sound journeys and various other things. But a lot of that time when you're doing those things, they are passive.
Yeah.
You're listening to the sound, you're allowing it to wash over you, which is not a bad thing at all. But I feel we need to interact. We need to bring your own field of resonance into the fray so that we can then work as a collective and create these pillars of light. So I was told to gather in as many places as possible to do these transformative, transmuting, sort of elevating, liberating connection of energy with a group of people, and just to start off with noticing what it is that we feel disconnected from, what element in our world, in ourselves. So whether that be your body feels disconnected, you're not feeling things, you've numbed yourself. How do we connect back to the body? Is it the air element? Is it your breath? Are you consciously aware of your breathing and how we're breathing? The way that we hold ourselves, so the breath and the air element. Also the feelings, the connection to the water. So the waters of the planet and the waters of us are all connected. So what's going on in the vibrations of our water and our field of, are we being able to absorb water into our cells, for example? Have we got the right minerals? So a lot of people are allowing the water to pass through them, and it's not actually connecting to their vibration because it's just moving through. There's no absorption into the cells. So that's another disconnect. And then obviously your creativity, your sexuality, your fire, your juice of life. How are we disconnected from that? So all these things that are going on in the world are there to disconnect us from those elemental vibrational aspects of us that can come into harmony. So to me, it's just simply humming, just sitting in a group and humming and finding and feeling your vibration, because our resonances are the creators. We are the source. We come from the source.
Yeah.
How do we reconnect that vibration to source energy? And that's how I feel to do it, is in sounding circles. So I've just started doing soul awakening sound circles. They're interactive. They're 3 hours, and I was told exactly the process to take people through, and no more than 12 people, so that we can become quite intimate in what we're doing, and then to go to various places around wherever people would have me or hold me, whether it be yoga studio, whether it be your own home, to gather 12 people together.
Yeah.
We can run through this 3-hour process, and it will uplift, and it will open up a gateway for you to bring a pillar of light down through your crown, through the whole of the body. So we're connecting heaven to earth, and then we can all raise up. And that's the way I feel is my particular, energy gift that I can bring. So that is, to me, is finding solutions, because all this drama is going to keep getting more and more intense until we elevate ourselves out of it and no longer has any effect on us.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Sass. And one thing I just want to say off the back of that, and you raised a really important point, is that groups don't have to be huge. And in fact, small groups have more potential to have harmonic resonance than huge, unwieldy ones. And just look at the basic mandalas. I mean, just the triangle, for example, which is the heart of the Sri Yantra, or a pentacle, or a 6-pointed star, or an 8-pointed star, or a 12-pointed star. All of these mandalas of people, when they're sounding, it's creating a mandala, isn't it? And there's this big thing about, oh, not enough people showed up, or you need numbers, and it's actually not true, because energetically, to shift, you don't need it's power of intention and frequency and alignment much more than numbers. That's my humble observation.
It's everybody. If it's the dynamics that's created in a group when people are coming for the same reason, when there's an intention that's set at the beginning.
Yeah.
And if we can work on ourselves, because obviously we are represent, you know, every part of us resonates at a certain frequency. And once we start shifting our frequency to a more harmonious one, that automatically affects everyone around you. So when people say, well, how can I convince this person this is what's going on? Well, you don't need to. All you work on is your own frequency, and that automatically, by osmosis, seems to affect everybody around you, and they start to lift up as well. So don't worry about other people and them not getting you, or just try and encourage people to gather together. So if anybody wants to hold in their own space or anywhere they know and want to gather 12 people, I will come and I will take you through this process, and then you can then continue it in your own area with your own people on a regular basis, because obviously I can't get everywhere, but I'm quite happy to show people just a very simple process of how we reconnect. So that's my gift. And yeah, please leave a message down below, or contact me at sassbullock@gmail.com, or just find me on Facebook at Sass Bullock, leave your message, because it's I really feel very strongly aligned with this message that I got. And so my first one's on the 21st of October in a chapel in Macclesfield, so that's where I'm starting off. Beautiful. And then we'll be spreading out. So yeah, invite me and I'll be there to help and guide. Just wonderful.
Thank you, Sass.
You're welcome. Thank you, Rachel. Lovely to see everyone again. Nice to see so many people still keen to come on these calls and share their books. I think someone's waving at you, so I better let space to be held by others.
Okay, Sass, thank you. All right. So I think we'll just complete the call with Brian and Amanda. So we've got 7 minutes left. So if you can make it succinct, Brian. And how are you, Brian? Because you had some challenging news, I believe.
Oh yeah, Rachel. Yeah, thank you for all what you do. Keep pushing forward. You give me hope. Yes, I do have some health issues. I used to be an air conditioning fitter. I've abused my body in the past, haven't I? I do the transformation. I've had addictions in the past, yes. So, yes, I have COPD, which is a lung sort of, I used to smoke too much. So, yeah, I've got a bit of that going on. But, yes, the doctors, more tests, and they're saying I have a blood condition, sort of hinting at leukemia. Well, I've sort of diagnosed it, but I had a lumbar puncture the other day, and they've written to me saying that I'll get the answer in a month's time. But yes, I believe the worry of what they've done to me has caused all this at the end of the day. Woking has been bankrupt. I've had clashes with it for a few years now. The awakening, God, yes, people aren't ready for the awakening, are they? We are awake, we're enlightened human beings. We can have this discussion, this conversation right now. That's enlightening to me. This whole call has been quite enlightening, and it's been amazing. So, yes, I call myself an enlightened human being. And I try to break out of the fear, but I realise, yes, the world's got a bit satanic, isn't it? Orwellian, in the sense that it is vertigo or something. It's something beyond my understanding, but I come into my body because I'm DNA awake by getting into my breathing and being the best I can be, isn't it? And getting into the love, because that is the best frequency to get into. The water is magic. You can put the love into the water, can't you? And you can put your treats in the water as well, nutrition and all sorts. I don't understand it. I'm just a beginner. Sass sounds amazing. Yes, all that sound stuff, all that stuff you're doing is amazing. I love it. I have done some rehabilitation in my time, sort of 12 steps and stuff like that. And we all come back to the oneness. The 12 steps call it the higher power. But because we're enlightened human beings, and I'm educated, but I'm not my education, I'm not my ego, I am not my intellect, am I? I am the heart and the soul. So yes, I have to give up the fear and push forward. Yes, Woking hasn't been kind to me. I've clashed, isn't it? Especially with the awakening, with the censorship, with the propaganda, the 15-minute cities. Yes, somebody mentioned Tony Blair. All this stuff triggers me these days. I'm getting triggered all the time by everything. But that person was right. Tony Blair didn't stand for war crimes, did he? He was sort of found guilty of sort of war crimes. Well, they keep changing the rules, don't they? I mean, something's gone wrong somewhere, but we get into our soul, our heart, and into our music and all within, and be the best we can be. Yes, I think I'd like to get away from Woking.
Yeah.
And,
so, Brian, can I suggest that? Well, I'm sure that a lot of people on the call will have solutions and remedies, but this is the thing about being in this freedom activist movement, and I know this from lawyers. I mean, who are heavily involved. We have to look after our energy because we are in that frequency of chaos. So it's very important that we have the protocols to be able to keep in resonance, whether it's chanting every morning or eating alkaline foods, eating healthily, having things like raw cacao, plant medicines, so that we can constantly look after our resonance and our vibrations so that we're not drawn into the chaos and we can keep bringing it back into resonance, because otherwise there is that possibility that we will fall into anger, chaos, fight energy, and then it manifests in our body as cancers and diseases and all sorts of things. So it's really I've learned this is like having lots of techniques to be able to keep on every day, to keep on cleansing and bringing, like going back into nature, drumming, rattling, chanting, music, charcoal, healthy foods, to balance out the dissonance with resonance, because those are the two things. Essentially, you're either in resonance or dissonance. So if God is a perfect harmonic resonance, Satan is basically dissonance, chaos, and like when things fall into chaos, and that's why they keep creating chaos, because that is the inversion of resonance. So I just want to mention this, Brian. So I would really encourage you to open to all the suggestions, which I'm sure are pouring into the chat, of ways that you can come into harmonic resonance in every which way to heal yourself. Yeah, ultimately.
Did you believe that I can heal myself?
I see you as whole and perfect, sweetie. I see you as perfect and whole, and
as caused this.
I don't see you as I see you as a light being, and it's just us all remembering that and coming back to that realization that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So whatever's manifesting, it's just a sign. It's your body saying there's something out of kilter here, and I'm just showing you. It's the only way I can let you know. So I'm just showing you. So that it's your body telling you we're out of alignment, we're out of balance, we need to come back into resonance. So, get me in nature, drink a bit more green juice, drink some healthy water, do sound healing, lie on the earth, come get back into healed wholeness, basically. Yes. It's just the body speaking to us saying we're off key, We need a tune up my instrument's gone out of tune, and I need to tune it up back so I can play beautiful music again, basically.
Yes. And it seems like the doctors are just looking for something to be wrong. They've been.
Well, look, NHS is completely run by Big Pharma, and who knows what those tests are actually Big Pharma tests, like the PCR thing. Who knows what these tests, maybe they're Big Pharma tests which lead to some diagnosis of some Big Pharma solution that will bring in another 10 grand of revenue per person that they diagnose with their tests. So we have to, this is the challenge, rising above, because sorry, I'm going to complete this because it's really important, because the studies have shown that if a doctor tells you, oh, you've got cancer, you've got 3 weeks to live, most people die to the day that they're told.
Yes.
Such is the power of the placebo and the program mind. So we have to be really careful about the mind aspect of diagnoses, because sometimes they're not helpful.
Yes. Yeah, you see, I've got a lot of history here in Woking, isn't it? I've as I say, I've been an addict, and I've been a bit of a criminal and all sorts of stuff. So yes, I have caused a few enemies here. So yeah, I thought I'd do the rehabilitation, but I sort of come up against the corrupt charities and the corrupt system, and I didn't like it too much.
Well,
so
that's
yes,
the thing. It is going to ruffle feathers, isn't it? It's going to ruffle feathers when you start speaking out.
So yes, I can't expect too much sympathy from these doctors here. So I would like to get away from it. But yes, I take it totally on board what you're saying. And it's time to up my game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Brian,
Rachel, for listening.
Thanks for coming on, and I'm aware we've overrun, so I'm just going to come to Amanda for the last word, because she is there in...
Yes. Thank you so much for amazing support. And
thanks,
well done.
Brian.
I love it. Yes. Good luck, everyone. Courage.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, Amanda is holding the other side of the planet for us, assuming you believe in that the planet is a globe, of course.
Yep. I'd like to show to Owen. This is the book, The Contagion Myth. Yeah. He was talking about Dr. Tom Cowan.
Yeah.
This is the book he wrote. And Torsten Engelbrecht wrote this book with some co-authors. And in these books, they talk about Louis Pasteur, the one who invented pasteurization of milk. That a lot of people who have a lactose intolerance can drink raw milk, no problem.
Yeah.
And Louis Pasteur put a lot of effort into proving contagion, but he failed. He was an absolute fraud. And in these books, they also talk about Jim West, the toxicologist. His findings was that DDT was the actual cause of polio. In the books, they've got graphs about the use of DDT and the timing and how much. And there's findings about Jim West, the toxicologist.
Yeah. So it's good that we're questioning all of these things. And yes, this is the terrain theory, isn't it? External toxins are going to manifest in symptoms of dis-ease if we're in a soup of toxicity.
In this book, also one of the co-authors is in New Zealand. Dr. Samantha Bailey.
Yeah.
She has a YouTube channel titled Dr. Sam Bailey, and she's done a lot of videos about health. And I'm just wondering, has anybody seen the end of COVID.com? There's they've proved that there's no need for vaccination, and that vaccination has been the biggest crime against humanity. And virology is like the biggest scam.
I can see this YouTube's not going to like this People Speak Out episode, but we'll give it a whirl.
No.
I haven't had a ban for a little while. I've got a few credits in the bank. But anyway, Amanda, I'm going to mute you back. Thank you for bringing all that to us, and thank you for coming in, because I know you're on the other side. You're in New Zealand there. I'm just going to, Owen, have you got a last word, just like a last minute?
Well, yeah, just to back up completely what Amanda's saying, there's this team, which is the third party, as I started with today, who are saying it's not from a Wuhan lab, it's not Mother Nature. There's no virus, and the scientists for decades, so for 100 years plus, have been trying to tell us that this whole idea of a jumping germ is a fallacy and an illusion. And like you say, you mentioned Rachel today, it's a money making scheme, and what they're putting in creates that terrain theory, because measles, mumps, all these different illnesses, DDT, this kind of stuff, all the crap in the supermarkets, additives, colorings.
Yeah.
What is this doing to us? This is the terrain in which we live, right? That needs addressing.
5G.
5G, and Tom Cowan's book, The Contagion Myth, and a really good one as well, Breaking the Spell, is very much about just throwing it all open and seeing for what it is. These are such exciting times. We're at the paradigm shift, and we've got to embrace it. We got to go at it.
Cool. Thanks, Owen. Thanks for that, and thank you for everyone for staying on. Give us a wave. Lots of love. Great to see everyone. Thank you for continuing to support these calls. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time, and Helen's going to be doing the chair. And then 2 weeks after that, I think it will be Sass. So lots of love. Have a great day, and speak to you soon. Bye for now.